Later, actress Julie Benz shares behind-the-scenes stories from her new Hallmark Movies and Mysteries film, Christmas Homecoming.
Our next guest was hit with a wake-up call of a lifetime when his doctor told him, get this, start planning your funeral. Can you imagine getting that sort of news from your doctor? Well, instead of saying, all right, he said, no, I'm going to fight.
Right.
Please welcome the author of Walking with Peety, the dog who saved my life, Eric O'Grey, and our pet rescue expert, Larissa.
Welcome, Eric.
I can't imagine having a doctor say those words, but clearly something he saw in you prompted him to say that. What was he seeing?
This was 2010, and I was 340 pounds. I was on 15 different medications, including daily insulin injections for type 2 diabetes, 3 different antidepressants, weight loss medications. My cholesterol was about 400, which is the Walking Dead level.
Wow.
I had very high blood pressure, and so one day my doctor gave me a choice. He said, I either need bariatric surgery or I need to purchase a cemetery plot because I'll likely need one within the next 5 years.
Oh my goodness. How old were you?
I was 51 at the time.
Wow. Wow.
This story is so fascinating. I mean, you're such an inspiration to so many people. And Larissa, I can understand why this caught your
Yes, I
attention.
mean-
Yeah, I mean, there is a saying in the rescue community, which is who rescued who. And
Yes.
this gentleman right here to my left, and the story, you know, that he's going to tell in a minute with Peety is really the epitome of that. It's pretty amazing.
But when you say rescue, there's a third party involved
Yeah.
here with this rescue, and it was CNN?
So,
How does this work?
you know, I came home from an airplane flight where they had to delay the plane by 45 minutes because they ran out of seatbelt extensions. And I couldn't fit one around me because I had a 52-inch waist. So the very next day, I turned on the TV, and there was Wolf Blitzer interviewing Bill Clinton on TV. And it was a political show of some kind, but Wolf eventually stopped the interview, and he said, you know, you look better than I've ever seen you. Your face is oval instead of round. You don't have the bags under your eyes. You've obviously lost a lot of weight. What have you done? And Bill Clinton said that he had a team of doctors that were working with him to reverse his heart disease and help him to lose weight, and they'd put him onto a plant-based diet. So I said, I've got to give this a try and check this out. Sure. So I didn't know how to do it, so the first thing that I did was I found a doctor who knew what a plant-based diet was, and this was different than the doctors that I had been going to. This was a licensed naturopathic doctor, and the foundation of her education involved food. So I went and I met with her, and it was a very different experience than I was used to for doctors. Typically, the doctors that I'd gone to would meet with me for 5 to 10 minutes, then give me a new prescription for a new medication at the end of that meeting. And so this one was different. She actually met with me for about an hour and a half and got me to admit my deepest, darkest secrets. And I couldn't figure out where she was going, but she got me to admit things like I'd become completely reclusive. I stopped going outside. I hadn't been on a date in 15 years, and I didn't have any friends anymore. And at the end of that meeting, it blew me away. Rather than prescribe more medications, she prescribed a plant-based diet and a dog from my local shelter. She told me to go adopt a dog.
She told you to get
I mean, something as simple as that.
I'd never had a pet before, so I asked her, I said, is it okay if I get a cat instead?
Well, Eric, you can't walk a cat. I guess you
That's
could,
what she
but
said. She said, have you ever walked a cat? I said, no, but I think I've seen it done on TV.
it's true. It's true. And that's when you met Peety.
And she just looked at me very seriously. So the very next day, I went down to my local shelter, which was Humane Society, Silicon Valley, and I met with their adoption coordinator. And we had a very long conversation. And she, again, we went through everything. And she was very serious that this is a lifetime commitment, and I'm not going to help you adopt a dog unless you're committing to me that this is a lifetime commitment. So I said,
Good for her, by the way.
absolutely. So I said, maybe I should get an older dog because that seems like less of a commitment.
Oh, my goodness. You were trying every way out,
doing
weren't
everything,
you?
But you were going into your old patterns. You were
Yes.
trying to stay inside.
Yeah, but
you
he
wanted
was-
to get the cat. All those things were pulling at you.
Right.
So we decided that I should adopt an obese middle-aged dog so we'd have something in common.
Is that true?
True story.
Wait, you both decided that, or she thought that for you?
I actually suggested it, and she thought that that was a great idea.
Oh.
Because then you could work out together.
Absolutely. So I'm sitting in the adoption room with the visions of the perfect dog dancing through my head, and the perfect dog is hypoallergenic. It's never going to bark, and it's never going to make a mistake in my house ever in the lifetime history of the dog, right?
Right.
So in my mind, there's an 8-pound golden retriever. And so I'm sitting in the adoption room, and I hear these nails clicking on the cement coming towards me, and in walks a really big dog, kind of like the one that we saw earlier in the
Charlie.
program.
Charlie,
right?
yeah.
Just about as big as Charlie. This dog was really overweight. He had skin problems, and he'd seen better days, and he was really depressed, and his head was hung low, and he was just looking at the ground. And at first, because I was thinking of something entirely different, I was confused, and I looked at the adoption coordinator, and I said, "Where's my dog?" At which point, this dog looked up at me with the clearest sense of disappointment I'd ever seen on any creature or person.
Oh, stop.
And we both looked at the adoption coordinator, and then she reassured me. She said, "Look, from what you've told me, you guys need each other because you both have the same problems."
Look at Pete.
Wow.
And Peety changed your life.
Those eyes.
He completely changed my life. So we went home. We decided to give it a try. We went home and we looked at each other skeptically from opposite sides of the room for about 3 days. And so we started walking, and at first, the first day we walked about 100 yards because that was how far we could both go, and we were both in pain and exhausted, and we made it home, and we continued to do that, and on the third night, he hopped up in bed with me, and we became bonded for life.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And so within 4 months, I was off all of my medications. It was like a miracle. My A1C and my glucose were normalized, and this is just by walking for half an hour twice a day and by eating a plant-based diet, by completely transitioning from what I called the American window diet, which is when you drive up to the drive-through window and they hand you food to the car, right?
How did Peety's life change? Did Peety lose weight?
Yeah, we both got on the same diet. He was also on a plant-based diet. So the miracle was that over 10 months, I lost 150 pounds and Peety lost 25.
Oh, wow.
In 10 months.
10 months.
And now how far do you walk now?
Well, I do a little bit more than walk now. So after I did this and I became so healthy, my mental health improved. I was my energy was through the roof, and I'd never felt better in my life. So I went back to my naturopathic doctor, and I said, "Well, what do I do now? I'm just bouncing off the ceiling." And she said, "You need to find a new form of exercise that you don't hate." And so I talked to a friend, and he said, "Perhaps you should try running, because with running, you're probably going to hate it at first, but with most people, a light switch will go off after a couple weeks, and then you'll be running along, and you may really like it." And that's exactly what happened. So after losing the weight, within just a couple of months after that, I was joined some running group. I found some running groups on Meetup, and we went out and running, and within about 3 months, I'd run my first half marathon.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Amazing.
6 months after that, I ran my first full marathon. And I'm currently running, I'm averaging about 5 or 6 fulls a year with about 15 halves a year.
Wow, that is unbelievable.
Peety changed your life, changed your outlook on life, and he also helped you gain something. You lost the weight, but you gained something else.
I did. After we did all this and we just started going out on all these adventures, I was approached by an organization called Mutual Rescue, who they promote the idea that helping animals helps people. And so they asked if I'd make a short film, and we made a short film, which is beautiful, and you can see it at mutualrescue.org. And it got 100 million internet views. So it went viral, and it changed my life. Suddenly I was getting 10,000 emails a day. I got a dozen marriage proposals.
Something you never had before, which is
Exactly. But the beautiful part about all this, the best part to happen was when I was in high school, my high school girlfriend was Jay, and we dated from 15 to 17. And then I went into the Army when I was 17, and I was bad, and we lost contact for 40 years. So after that, she saw the film, and she got in touch with me because we'd both been looking for each other.
Yeah.
And so she got in touch with me, and we got back together in September. And when we got back together, she was 197 pounds, size 20. So we got married in December. We're living happily ever after, but the great news for her is today, after 10 months, exactly doing the same thing that I did, which is a plant-based diet and walking our dog for half an hour twice a day. She dropped from 197 to 115 and from size 20 to size 2.
Wow. And you're together.
Yes.
Happily bliss.
Happily ever after.
Fantastic.
That's a Hallmark story, if I've ever
That is a Hallmark story.
is.
And that dog barking, by the way, there's
There
your
they
wife,
are.
Jay, and your new
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah. Peety's no longer with us. A heartbreak, but
Isn't she beautiful?
But-
She's better looking than when she was 16.
thank you so much,
Thank you
Aaron.
for sharing
Great
your
story.
story.
Inspiration.
You were so wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ken, I love you, but I don't know how you're going to follow that one.
Seriously, what an amazing story. I was getting teary-eyed here. But coming up next, I'm going to answer a viewer's request. It was a challenge on how to store silk flowers, and I have her answer.